It's time for the Wrestling Observer Extra.
One more time for old time's sake.
With Dave Meltzer, right here on The Law. Live audio wrestling.
And let's go. We're now smoking with the best.
All righty, hour 2. Next week, by the way, we'll be doing 3 hours.
That's right.
Of The Law.
Because you'll want more after 7 hours of WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's a 2-hour pre-show. No, 2-hour pre-show, 4-hour event?
Well, they're saying maybe
So
4 and a
6
half
hours.
because if it goes past 11.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It could go past 11 next
Yeah.
week. Then I got to be on the air alone and just talk to essentially no one.
You can
Right?
recap the other wrestling in the week. You can go over Ring of Honor,
TNA
Impact
and
for the
everything
first
else.
half
Right,
hour.
yeah, I'll go over Impact. So it'll be the same audience that watches Impact that'll be listening to the show at that point.
It'll be crickets.
All righty. Dave, why do we need so much wrestling on WrestleMania? Why do they need so much time?
Yeah.
Is 6 hours not enough, Dave?
Yeah, well, I mean, 1 hour's the post-game show, but
No, but
yeah,
they're saying
I think probably an hour too long now. You know?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you also
Yeah,
don't need a 2-hour
hours
warm
for
up.
a show. You don't need 6 hours for a show.
No, you don't. It's,
Yeah,
it's
five
getting a
is-
Super Bowl
5
level.
is plenty.
This is starting to get like those indie shows that run way too long or something.
Yeah.
So, Dave, we've been asking the callers all night long. I threw out the question of, every WrestleMania has that moment, pardon the WWE always saying that, but at the end of the show, there's always that glorious moment that you see over and over again, and it always ends with the fans walking away happy. What is that moment this year for you? Like, what do you expect them
I
to
don't
do?
know. I guess how Shane foiling Vince. I guess.
Then Undertaker not being able to wrestle at WrestleMania
I know
again.
that's weird.
It's two negatives that
Yeah,
they put
exactly.
into this match.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
I mean, but either way, it's negative.
That's what
Yeah.
I mean. Two
Yeah.
negatives, and it
It's
doesn't
double
make a
negative, so
positive.
you put Triple H and Roman Reigns on last, but then you got to figure out a way to make Roman Reigns. Maybe Roman Reigns wins, and there's a surprise guy who shows up, then if it's Cena, that's a mixed bag. So yeah, I mean, no, they maybe that's where Austin shows up or Rock. I don't know.
It's a tough one for sure. I mean,
But do you want to end the show with Austin and Rock? That's almost like a step backwards in time.
oh, it's way back. But I mean, they're pushing Taker and Shane as the main event. To me, that looks like that's going to be the final match. So it's got to be something to do with
I would
that.
think
Either
so.
Shane wins or Vince tombstone or gets tombstoned by Taker or something.
Could be that. It could be Shane wins and then Taker tombstones Vince, and then that's the end of Vince, and that's your thing is that Vince is gone for good.
Right.
Yeah, which
I mean, it's not as great as
but then,
Daniel
you know,
Bryan with the title and all the confetti, but
yeah, every time Vince decides he's gone for good, he always gets dragged back.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So I mean, I never trust Vince will ever be gone for good. As far as a television character.
no, for sure.
Mouth just mentioned Daniel Bryan there. Daniel Bryan Appreciation Night at Madison Square Garden was canceled this week. Kind of shocking. Something to do with medical reasons, though. What have you heard on this, Dave?
I don't know. I've been trying to find out. I mean, it's either one of two things. Either it's something that's related to a storyline, a storyline based out of reality on Total Divas, and therefore, because of the contracts, no one's allowed to talk about it till it airs. Or it's something that they really, really don't want out, and in that case, it would have to be serious, or else I think it would be out by now.
Well, and plus, for him to cancel appearances this time of year, like he's not doing any of the Mania appearances.
He's not going
now.
to Mania. He's not doing Mania. He's not doing the fan appreciation shows. He's not doing the European tour that was built around him. And that all happened, early in the week.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was something that happened 3 weeks ago. So something happened.
Yeah, it's got to be something major.
Something happened over the weekend, over last weekend for sure. Yeah, whatever it is, I don't know.
And we've seen...
But I will say this. I do believe that it goes back further than that, just because there's certain things that have happened that I sensed a pattern about I'd say 2 weeks before. So I don't know what it all means. But yeah, I mean, whatever it is, it's got to be something pretty darn significant for him to miss all these shows.
We have Brie Bella pushing up her retirement as well to April 4th.
Yeah.
So these two are essentially
Monday's it for Brie Bella, it looks like.
But they're still going to be part of Total Divas, as you mentioned, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's kind of weird, too, that no, you don't see them anywhere else, but you're still going to see them on Total Divas.
Well, I'm
you'll
guessing
you'll see her because she signed a contract where she's going to still do, public appearances for them and things like that. Like as far as like, when they need a model-looking woman, and they want the twins there, the twins will be there. It's not like she's going to, not be with the company. She's going to still be. She's not going to wrestle anymore, and she's not going to be on the road full time. But she'll be still doing stuff.
I would guess that their hope, E-Network's hope, is that we're going to tell a baby story.
Yeah, I think so.
That would make sense.
That could be it. Yes.
Yeah, even if whether it's you get into either it's a trying thing or it's the actual pregnancy, and they get to tell that baby story because that would do very well on reality TV.
It would.
Moving along from that, we had an injury this week. Yet another injury. Every week we talk to you about injuries. Luke Harper, something with his knee. Is it a torn ACL? Do we know yet?
I don't know that 100%, but that's the word that's been going around.
Torn. That's a bad one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's he's going to be out, probably till the winter.
Too bad because he's the worker of the group too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really is. I know. That changes the whole dynamic of that group because then you got Rowan who's just there and Bray who's the one who's supposed to be protected and Strowman who, Strowman's having trouble right now. That match with Dean Ambrose on Monday was not a good outing.
Mm-hmm.
Bray's hurt as well. Bray's not in great shape. He's still got back problems.
Bray's got back problems, yeah.
So, I mean, I was slightly confused on SmackDown because, once again, you have this Brock and Wyatt's program that is creeping on up. I'm assuming that's where they're going after WrestleMania with those guys.
That's what I understand, yeah.
And you're going to get the big Brock versus Strowman feud?
Ooh.
I wonder if they're, after Monday, they may second-guess that one. But that was certainly the idea, yeah.
Because certainly if it was Harper, I mean, I think Brock and Harper would actually have good matches.
But, I mean, Brock and Harper, they did that match in
Roadblock.
Toronto.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. That's right.
It was just, Harper's role was just to take suplexes.
Right. Tomorrow night, Dave, final Raw before the Mania, of course. We've had these segments with Ambrose, and he had Mick Foley 2 weeks ago. He had Terry Funk this week. Have you heard anything about maybe a final one with someone, maybe an old ECW star, Tommy Dreamer, that kind of thing?
I haven't heard. I mean, it's certainly possible, but yeah, don't know on that.
And any other surprises to get us pumped for Mania that you've heard about?
It's just the same ones that everyone's talked about. I haven't heard of any again, it's so weird to me because Austin and Rock are going to be there, and yet here we are.
We know nothing.
And they haven't talked about it at all, and they haven't even hyped it. So it's kind of like, I guess if they're not there, everything's fine because they haven't really promised them too much. Although Rock will be there for sure, and Austin, I'm relatively certain will be there. I know they have a role for him, whatever it is.
And Michaels as well, correct?
Michaels as well, yeah.
That's
they got a role
baffling.
for Michaels for sure, too.
Yeah.
Because there's been no mention of really any of these guys.
Just Rock seems to be the only one, and they're just pushing that he's going to be there, not telling you anything.
Yeah, I mean, they mentioned Michaels at Fan Access and things like that, and Foley's at Fan Access. So, I mean, they're around, and they're around. But, yeah, as far as, being on the show, I guess they who knows? Maybe they'll bring back Hogan. I don't know. I mean, it's
he was on the View.
It's just a question if they consider this too soon or not.
Yeah, it might be a little too early, but he's certainly on the mend if he was on the View.
How about Kevin Von Erich? He's supposed to be flying into Dallas. Do you think he makes an appearance, Dave? Not.
WrestleMania, it's funny because it's like a different generation and everything.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that thinks that you're in Dallas, you should have him do something on that show, even if you just run in and put the claw on somebody for a second.
Yep.
But I think that they may go with the idea he's not our star, and he won't do that.
He did wonders for TNA.
And that homecoming show a decade ago in Dallas, where he got the biggest reaction of all those legends on Raw.
Yeah. No, he'll get. Well, the thing is, this is a traveling group, but the thing is he will get a good reaction, I believe, just because. You expect certain guys, right? And Kevin Von Erich is not on that list. So if he comes out, and again, there's going to be, in that audience, there's still going to be 20,000 people that are from Dallas, and some of them would be old enough to remember the Von Erichs. I don't know, a lot of them won't, but I would want him to do something on the show. But again, you don't want. There's only so many spots you can have for guys running in and putting their finisher on. so he may not make the cut.
Well, my prediction would be Kevin Von Erich putting the claw onto Wade Barrett to assist the New Day. Unless that's Rox.
It could happen, or they may just do it on the pre-show, in which case it'll be like Vlad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
Heath Slater's spot.
Yeah. Jesus.
Dave,
Really.
there was this, social outcast. You know what? Don't put that by them. That's probably the way that they would consider Kevin Von Erich,
brutal.
actually. Dave, there was a story about SmackDown and Roman Reigns and booze being piped into SmackDown because there was too much cheering going on for Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Has this
really
been,
weird, huh?
Is this confirmed?
I've heard it from a lot of people, but I don't have that. I don't know that it's confirmed. So yeah, I don't know. What did it sound like? I actually have to watch the final segment of the show, actually it's not the final segment, the segment with Bubba. Yeah, because I haven't watched that segment yet.
Well, Mouth had said earlier you thought that they were cheering Reigns a little bit more.
Yeah, I thought the reaction to me seemed more positive than usual on SmackDown.
Yeah, well, I heard in the building it was, which surprised people because they were in Boston, and then people expected him to get booed out of the building, and I heard he didn't. So,
is something like this piping in booze? Is this again a hint of a heel turn?
A lot, that and the coming out of the, no longer coming out of the crowd are two hints.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't be surprised. I would kind of expect it because it makes logical sense when you think about like who the best drawing challengers are. They're all on the face side. Mm-hmm. The fact that the crowd isn't going to cheer him no matter what they do. I know they really tried, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, he can take his frustrations out on the audience where it all makes sense. So I feel that's the right move. But they, again, they spent 2 years with the idea of making this guy the baby face of the company, and they may just feel that we're not going to let go. So we'll see.
They're stubborn. We've seen that lots of times for sure. Also, coming out of Mania, Dave, like if Shane wins and he takes over Raw, is this going to be a beginning of a new brand split type of thing, and then we see Triple H and Steph maybe on SmackDown? Like, are they headed towards that kind of thinking again?
If he wins, I think so, because I just don't see the idea of them disappearing. In fact, I wouldn't want them to disappear if Shane's in charge. I think you want that conflict. The only problem is that if that becomes the conflict, and they're on the same show, then all of a sudden the wrestlers really become secondary, and I don't really like that either.
No, I don't want to see it go back to that where it's the authority is the main storyline.
Yeah, I know. It's but if Shane wins, I think it almost has to be.
I don't know. Brand split didn't work too well last time.
Yeah, they weren't good at brand splits, that's for sure. They just didn't know how to make it work.
Dave,
and they also don't have a lot of depth when it comes to the top guys. Although, when Cena and Rollins and Randy Orton all come back and Cesaro, all pretty much during a short period of time, the depth issue will kind of be a whole lot better.
Before we go, Dave, just quickly touching on the fact, big story in mixed martial arts this week. New York has finally legalized professional mixed martial arts. The proceedings were really wacky, to say the least.
That was such a weird day.
Do you believe that so UFC is going to walk in here. Do you think Rousey is the first fight back?
It all depends on timing of her movies and everything, but I think that's November is the show that they wanted her on, and November is also when they got Madison Square Garden booked. So I could see a double main event where you've got Rousey headlining with either John Jones or Chris Weidman, one or the other. And if Weidman wins the championship, I can't imagine him not headlining the first Garden card because he's wanted it so bad.
Yeah.
If Jones wins the championship, I'm sure he'll want it. Maybe they'll have Rousey. Maybe they could always do Rousey in a non-championship match with Holly Holm, along with the John Jones and Weidman, and that's 2 million buys. So it could be that one too. Probably that's too perfect, and something's going to probably screw that up. but if you look at it, maybe that's what they would do.
All right. Well, Dave, we got to say goodbye for this week. Next week, we'll talk to you 1 hour later because we've got our 3-hour show next week. So we'll talk to you at 1 a.m. Eastern. But for the Observer this week, what are the big stories? Just WrestleMania?
Whatever happens the next couple days. And I'm got a big story on Joe Garagiola and the history of wrestling.
Oh, nice.
Chase. So I'm kind of excited about that one. He was such a huge personality in the entertainment world. And, the wrestling was something that almost nobody knows he did.
Exactly, because it's so early in his career.
It was early in his career, but he was very important because he was the first host of that show, and that's what got the dynasty going, so to speak.
Yep.
As far as St. Louis wrestling was, he was the first, guy for the first 2.5 years of Wrestling at the Chase, which was a unique television show in wrestling history because of the setting and the nature of the show.
All right, well, we look forward to that, and we'll talk to you next week, just 1 hour later.
Okay, cool. Have a great week.
Happy Mania, Dave.
Yeah.
Hope you get through it all.
It'll be a great week. It's going to be a real exciting week. I tell you what, though, I'm so much looking. Mania may very well be great, but I'm looking so much more forward to NXT
Of course.
and Evolve.
We are too. Absolutely.
That NXT show just looks incredible, and the Evolve show with Will Ospreay and Ricochet, I think that might be like the match of the year.
Fantastic. Well, we'll cover it all next week at this 1 hour later. Dave, we'll talk to you then.
Okay, have a great week.
Have a good one. Dave Meltzer, WrestlingObserver.com is where you can find his work.